Hello everyone, my name is Derek Francis and I'm the founder and CEO of Hunt Butler. I'm going to start out with Hunt Butler right now, and I'm going to tell you right now we're trying to be a dynamic, informative, user-friendly, and secure service where hunters and landowners can connect to facilitate hunting land lease transactions. Before I get into the meat and potatoes of this thing, I kind of want to let you guys know whose company you're in. Right now, I've already introduced myself. Again, I'm a student here at UW-Whitewater. My major is accounting and finance. We just brought on Hem Naidu. He was a past senior software engineer for Best Buy, so he was a huge pickup from us. You saw Sam Lepak just earlier, CMO for CEO. And we also have Evan Zeitel, who's our programmer, and he's helping us with a lot of our database integration and all the cool technological stuff that we're doing right now. I want to kind of talk about the market that we're entering. Right now in Wisconsin, we want to start here, stay local before we go global. Right now we have 900,000 hunters in the state of Wisconsin alone, and about $550 million spent on land leasing and or land ownership costs. I have some total market statistics there just to show you how big the pie actually is. So we only need to capture a small portion of it, and it's a pie that I think we can actually grab a very large chunk of. So I want to talk about the problem right now. The main problem is hunters can't find land. A lot of hunters right now, they're going to these public lands. I've heard some people being shot on public lands. They can't go, and there's a lot of trust issues with just letting anybody go out and hunt. So that's the problem we're trying to solve, and what we want to do is create an efficient medium to where you can actually connect hunters and landowners together to facilitate those hunting land lease transactions. This is what the hunters are saying and landowners. It's getting harder and harder to find places to hunt. Again, that trust issue is a recurring theme. How do you trust somebody and let them go on your property when you've never met them before? There's a few other ones. Leasing land right now, currently how it stands is the macro lease structures. It costs about $5 to $10 grand to lease land for a year. We're hoping to drive that cost down to about $100 to $200 per day. So if you want to go hunting for that specific amount of time, that's a huge cost saving. We can actually open up the market for a lot more people to go hunting. So I can talk about our product right now, Hunt Butler. We're trying to go out to these landowners and allow them to specifically make sessions for the days they want to hunt. Right now, you hunt deer, you hunt turkeys, you hunt X, Y, and Z. The landowner, a lot of them, they still want to be able to have control of their property. What we offer is you can still have control of your property, but we'll pay you for those days that you're not using your land. It's a huge asset utilization, and it's that sharing economy and that entire collaborative consumption trend that you're hearing a lot about. We can talk about our revenue model right now. To start out, so we can start generating revenue right out the gate, it's going to be that commission that we generate off of each land that's booked. A few other things we can do is we can start selling wildlife data. We're going to have hunters do surveys at the end, and we can sell that to the DNR. You can have insurance incentives. We can go and say, yes, we are handling all the insurance stuff, but you can start upselling and saying if you want additional protection or you're really scared, we can also start making some money with some profit sharing agreements there. Premium membership benefits. Currently, some of the competitors I'll get into, you can generate about $30 a month if we give them early access and different opportunities to get to these lands first and be first mover status for the hunter themselves. OEM data sales. We can go in, and when we're collecting all this data, we can go and sell it to Under Armour, Cabela's. We can sell all this user data, and you can market just that much more efficiently. The big one that we try staying away from, because it's not something that we'll get into until far down the road, is the geo-targeted advertising. We can go, again, kick it out and have all this stuff. I have some stuff in the back that I can show you about how much stuff hunters actually buy to enjoy their sport. So if we can get profit sharing off of items sold on our platform and everything of that nature, we can generate a lot of revenue. Here's a few of our competitors. Basecamp Leasing, they're the main one that you guys have probably heard about. They're that macro lessors. A lot of these other ones, they're smaller, but they're not really taking off, and they're more in Texas alone, just because they're going out to a lot of the guides and the ones that are doing it professionally, whereas we want to open it up to the entire market. Here's a few of the reasons why we're more competitive. I've touched on a lot of these already. Reduced landowner concerns, it's that trust and the cost reduction again and again. Market trends, we're hitting on that huge Uber collaborative consumption thing. It's one of those big, the sharing economy is what a lot of people think can really hit it off. And I really want to try it just in the hunting sector especially. Here's what we're looking to raise right now. $50,000 for our website, $25 for our sales payroll just to get our first users on board, and then advertising. Financial projections, I laid out some things down there for you guys might take a while to look at, and I can get into those later. And that's my presentation. I hope you guys have a lot of questions, and I hope you enjoy it.
My question is related to the people coming on to the land. I assume that right now when somebody signs one of these leases, they basically are authorizing a small number of people to hunt on their land during an entire year. And with this, you potentially are going to have different groups of hunters on and off their land on a day-to-day basis. What are you going to do to get the landowner comfortable with the fact that on any given day, he may have 5 or 6 people showing up that he's never seen before?
Okay, so one of the big things, if you guys ever watch TED Talks, I highly recommend you go look for one. It's this virtual trust phenomenon that's going on, and it's what's enabling this collaborative consumption trend to actually work. And what we plan on doing is every time there's a transaction, we're going to do a background check on you to begin with to make sure we know that we're comfortable with letting you on the land. But the big part of it's going to be after you've had one hunt, the landowner is going to rate you and say, okay, this guy was very good, he was respectful, he closed the gate, he did all the things right, and we can get a 10-star rating. All of a sudden, if you see a hunter that has virtual trust and he's already had successful transactions, you're never going to be fully comfortable with letting another person on your land, but we're hoping that we can, with our trust principles, alleviate the pain that could be associated in that respect.
I would have some concern that people that own this land, probably older farmers, may not really be into that virtual trust scenario.
This is one of the big things, and this is a huge problem for us when we actually go and get our initial users. It's going to be extremely labor intensive to go out to these landowners, because I'm actually going to have to build a rapport with them myself and say, hey, here's what we're trying to do. We're really trying to open up this entire outdoor sector and this hunting sector, and we're going to have to try and make them believe in this idea of we're trying to make the world better one hunt at a time by actually getting more people into the outdoors. But that's a huge thing is with the older generation, if they are the ones that we're going to go after on the onset, the older generation, there's going to be a hurdle there without a doubt, and that's one of the main risks.
For many years, you're going to be building, you're starting at zero, so you have no rating for these hunters as they first come in. What sort of agreement or promises are you going to make the landowner for somebody that walks in as a new group of hunters?
The new group of hunters, we have the lease agreement, and it's basically your boilerplate lease agreement, and we can kind of gauge when we're talking with the hunter of how much trust do you really have. And Sam and I, we've gone to these landowners, and we get this question a lot: who's hunting my land? And this is one of the big things. Is initially, it's going to be hard. One of the ideas we plan to do is actually have an interview video where the hunter themselves actually goes on and says, hey, this is who I am. Here's why I want to be part of this program. And then if you actually have a landowner that goes and watches the video, again, it's kind of that individual trust. Another way we could do it is we could actually hold a meeting, kind of like a get together like this, have all the landowners there, have the hunters there, and we can talk and kind of have everyone voice their concerns. But that kind of, it hurts us for the scaling aspect of it. And right now I'm doing a lot of reading to actually see how Airbnb overcame this. Because Airbnb, they're the ones that are doing it, and they're actually letting other people come into your house for the couch surfing, and they're an industry that's booming right now. But I want to really see what they did initially to overcome that.
Have you assessed whether you have any liability exposure in this venture?
Right now, we're limiting it in a bunch of different ways. I'm talking with a lot of lawyers right now. We're going to have them do a digital signature, and it's an indemnification agreement for us and for the landowner. From the company standpoint, we'll have our insurance, of course. Right now, if you look in there, I believe I have it about $275 for an annual policy is what American Family Insurance quoted me at to cover me for this. But then we also can go in and to protect the landowner. There's a thing called the Wisconsin Recreational Use Statute, and what that statute does is it limits the landowner from liability as long as there's not what's deemed gross negligence. So the landowner is protected up to a $2,000 limit of profit, and then after that, you're planning on going with AHLA insurance, and then after you freaking go over that $2,000 threshold, we'll kick in and we'll charge you $100 and put you on a policy to make sure that you're still covered as a landowner. I don't know if that helps.
I guess my question had to do more with, again, these hunting parties come on, and let's say that they are negligent and they do some damage. What recourse are the landowners or you going to have against those parties?
Okay, so in the lease agreement, we can also have different clauses that say if, and this is one of the questions, and this is what a landowner presented me, what happens if this hunter comes on our land and he thinks he has full range and he cuts down a whole swath of trees? We can put in the lease agreement that if that provision is not met, the hunter themselves is liable for a cash value, and then we can go after them. Every type of business, if people don't do what they're expected to do, you can't really get away with that no matter what business you're doing, but all we can do is plan for it and put different clauses in the lease agreement and make sure both parties are aware before the lease agreement.
One last question. Since you made the comment as part of your pitch, how many shootings occurred in Wisconsin in the last hunting season? And how many were on public land versus private land?
I have no idea what those numbers are.
Have you considered, I guess, talking about the negligence and having a sizable security deposit?
We're thinking about it. That's always an option, and say, hey, if you want to use our service to begin with, you have to put $250, $500 down. You can always get it back when you're done. It could even be up to $2,000, $5,000. You can always get it back. But it's something that on the onset of our venture, we want to actually get a lot of users on, so we probably won't do it unless we start experiencing problems, and that's going to be something that we do if we do have the problem.
Guys, we're going to have to wrap up the questions just in fairness to all the candidates, all right?